is Southern Saturday. You already know we at work decided to hop on, chop it up with individuals. See what's the talk of the town is going down the word in the curve. You heard me. Let me just set this up. Alrighty. Just wanted to chop it up with the folks. See what's good with the lokes out there. You know, we chilling like a villain at work. Hope everybody's having a lovely weekend. And be careful when you're out there, especially if you're in the southern portion of Los Angeles, right? Because I know that they're protesting right now, and you know, stuff's starting to get a little hectic, just a little bit. You know. ¿Qué onda, carnal? What's good? What's good? Dashpool's definitely up in the building. What's good, my loke? What's good with everybody? The homie Derek up in the building. That's right. And we should have a new G Series video coming out probably by tomorrow or later on today. My carnal smokes scante? He does? Damn, that's crazy. Tell him to lay off the scante. It's not good for you. Getting ready for work. That's right, my boy. Extremely cold here for the past 2 weekends. All right, there's like a big ass storm like in parts of the United States and all right now. Like a big ass cyclone and shit. Oh, Mr. Pasa is definitely up in the casa for the raza. Damn, feels like 6 degrees. Oh, man. So now you know how I feel at work. Because that's roughly a degrees we work in. You know, like 6, 2, sometimes in the negative. But that's only in the extreme cooler, like where we have the ice and the ice cream and shit like that, right? But in the other coolers, like maybe like, you know, like 19, 16 degrees, you know, roughly around there. I was working close to the hazard project. Damn, my boy Sergio. It'd be rough and rugged right there. Yeah, he's not the same no more. The Vato burns brain cells. He talks to himself. Oh, damn. Yeah, then yeah. That's crazy, bro. He's digging his own grave. It's kind of sad. He says we all talk to ourselves. Well, I don't know about that. We don't all talk to ourselves. Like maybe somebody having a conversation like with himself, like just to hear himself out loud, compared to like he physically thinks he's talking to somebody who's not there. It's two different things. Have you heard about the city of San Dimas and Glendora? Do they have neighborhoods out there? Actually, San Dimas does. Barrio San Dimas Rifa. And they're a pretty big gang too. I don't think Glendora does. I don't think it has a neighborhood, but I know that there'll be like the surrounding areas that like maybe those neighborhoods will sometimes, you know, drift that way. I feel bad for my mom the most. Yeah, you know, he needs help, bro. He needs some counseling. You know what I mean? But I mean like he needs someone to talk to him, like actually talk to him, not like bring up his shortcomings, right? Like bring up his habits and stuff like that. Like talk down on him, right? Like to fix problems like this, talking down on somebody would you know, it always makes stuff worse. But that tends to always be the road that people who care about somebody tend to take, though. Like you're a fucking idiot, fool. Like, okay, well, I don't think he's gonna listen after that now. Even if it is being honest, right? When I was working, my coworker, at lunch break, cops were saying that they look suspicious and they were patrolling on another area. Yeah, that does tend to happen. Like when you're around like areas like that, they tend to pull you over for like Well, they'll make up a reason. Sometimes they won't even give you a reason. They'll just tell you to shut up. Isn't AP in Glendoria? Maybe they might have some members out there, right? But I don't know if there's like a like a clique of theirs. AP is in Glendale, but I don't know about Glendoria. I just talked down on my friend. He would always ask for help, but you just can't help some people. Yeah, some people, like, if the person truly doesn't want to help themselves, then can nobody else help that person, right? They also got to make the effort. I'm not saying that it all falls on the person that's looking to guide the individuals, right? But it doesn't help by like insulting them, though. Like, you gotta start on common ground, though. Like, both people have to put their egos to the side, the individual with the problem and the individuals looking to help the individual with the problem. Like, both sides have to put their temperaments away. Does Hazard go with 18 and El Sereno and Isaclo? I don't know about all those gangs, but probably 18 most likely, yeah, because 18 tends to beef with everybody. They have very few allies. I think I was thinking of Glendale. Yeah, probably. 18 is nowhere near Hazard. Well, you do have the East Side 18. That's in El Sereno. They do have a branch by El Sereno, the East Side 18th Street. And that clique tends to sometimes drift around the East Side area as well, like the Boyle Heights area. Not like a common thing, but it's not like uncommon though. And sometimes you'll be surprised. Sometimes neighborhoods beefing with gangs that are like far away. There's some neighborhoods that we beef with at my barrio that they're like a distance. Right? All it takes is one incident going wrong for it to cause all kinds of shit. I've heard of San Dimas being pretty dangerous, and I think there probably still is today. Do you have information from San Dimas? I know somebody from there. I didn't meet him until like YouTube and doing the videos that I met that individual. So I wouldn't say that like, oh yeah, like I have a homie like that, But I do know some individual from there. 18th Street and Sereno, never knew that. Yeah, that clique has been there for a long time already. The East Side 18. Right there, right smack in El Sereno's territory. And they're pretty deep too. That's their East Side branch. And I know that because I have a homie from Barrio Locos who actually lives in the heart of East Side 18th Street neighborhood in El Sereno. And like sometimes when he has barbecues and like I go over and shit like you can see all the graffiti and shit like that, And he'd be saying like, yeah, that it does be active around there. I have a question. Which cities would be considered East LA, like Belcarre? No, Belcarre is in the south side. East LA, the only city in East LA is East LA itself, the actual city of East LA, well, the district of East LA. And like you can't really find that many neighborhoods in East LA except the Maravillas. All the Maravilla gangs are in East LA. And then there is some like non-Maravilla gangs in there, like Little Valley, King Cobra, Indiana Dukes, Winter Gardens. And maybe that's it. But every other gang in East LA is the Maravillas. And then you have the east side of Los Angeles, which is the not East LA, but the Boyle Heights district. And Boyle Heights is where you have all the gangs that people think about when they think about East LA, like Primera Flats, White Fins, V&E, Evergreens. When people think about those gangs, they'll be like, oh yeah, they're in East LA. No, like, well, no, actually they're in Boyle Heights. It's the east side, but it's not the same thing. I used to think of it all as the same before too. 18 doesn't stay that far from the hazard. Literally, it goes on the stretch at 100 and drive. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like the distance, like driving wise, is not that far. Nah, Cudahy is the southeast Los Angeles, I think. No, Cudahy is considered the south side. District wise, like as how can I say, as like the cities, like the cities and the councils and everything, how they split up the areas. Yes, this part of Los Angeles is considered the southeast, right? But in the street world, in amongst the street individuals, it's considered the south side of Los Angeles, which is cities like Bell, Southgate, Linwood, Bell Gardens, Maywood, areas like that. But the district and the county considers them southeast. But in the street world, that's the south side. The southeast in the street world is considered like Pico Rivera, fucking like Whittier, areas like that. Kind of like there's some gangs that the streets are actually avenues, but they label them streets. You know, like they'll be considered like they'll write it as a street, but it's technically an avenue, right? Like I say, in the streets they make their own rules, bro. Boyle Heights and Serrano City Terrace is the East LA. Well, it's Boyle Heights. It's considered the east side of Los Angeles. Like they themselves don't consider themselves East LA. Like if you tell somebody from those gangs that they're in East LA or they're from East LA, they'll tell you, no, we're not. We're on the east side, bro. We're not. And people from East LA will say they're not from East LA. They're from the fucking east side. I had to learn that, right? Because I used to label it as the same before, right? Until the homie started telling me like, nah, we're not the same thing, bro. And like, fuck no, we're not. You know, one side thinks that they're better than the other. People from Boyle Heights think they're better than people from East LA. People from East LA think they're better from people in Boyle Heights. I don't know. To me, it's all the same, right? I can't really. So basically, how it goes is from Indiana moving forward. Like if you're going up Whittier, from Indiana moving forward, that's where East LA starts. East LA starts in Indiana. From Indiana and down is considered Boyle Heights. Ain't that interesting? Like there's some people that label there's like they call themselves like cities, like the city of this, the city of that, but they're not actually really cities. They're actually districts, right? Like towns, cities, and districts are three different things. Just like like a highway, it's not the same as like a freeway. But like I said, it's not really like the street way of looking at stuff is not the same as like what it actually is, though. Rose Hills is north of 18. Yeah, in the projects. The OGs. One of my coworkers, guy helps me in my head. He used to live in Pasadena, but he. Órale, all right. Do you like the food? Yeah, that's good. Is it true that Mexico they don't rice and burritos? It's only an American thing. Um, well, it depends what parts of Mexico. Like, some places in Mexico do things than other places. Like the food is not really like the same. It just depends what part of Mexico you're in. Like people like that live in like in Acapulco, their food will be different like than people that live in like Michoacan. You know what I mean? And like or Oaxaca too, right? Oaxaca's got their unique cheese and like maize to them too, like maize morado, maize rojo, verde, even moles too. Right, have green mole, red mole, black mole. Just depends what area you're in, like what customs. Because like also in Mexico, it's kind of like the United States. There's parts of Mexico that are influenced by other cultures. Like you have parts in Mexico where there's like a lot of Asians, like people from like actual Asia, like Korea and China and Japan, that have businesses in Mexico, and they have a pretty big community. You know, like if you go to the F, you know, like places of like Tijuana, you'll see a lot of Asians there with their businesses. You know, there's certain places where there's a lot of black people. There's certain places you go, there's a lot of white people. Believe it or not, it's not just like pure Mexicans. You know, that's a misconception that the media pushes, right? And then people that live over here, they believe it. They think that in Mexico there's nothing but pure raza there, when it's like, no, there's not. There's all kinds of different fucking ethnicities there. Yes, you have black people, like communities of black people there, bro. A lot of them too. And I don't mean like Afro Mexican. I mean like literally like black folks from like over here, from like Compton and South Central and shit like that. Where my cousin lives over there in Guadalajara, there's a family who owns a business right there, and they're literally from Compton, bro, and they're black. My cousin says they're cool people. And they got a business right there where they sell like burgers and stuff like that. It's kind of like if you go to like China and you ask for like orange chicken, they're not gonna know what the fuck you're talking about. You're gonna be like, what? The fuck is that? Kung Pao? What the hell is that? You know, that's not American. That's Chinese American food. Or like if you go to Italy and you order like, you know, like any type of, you know, what people over here consider Italian food, they're not gonna know what the fuck you're talking about. They'll be like, what? They had to put a American spin to it. It's funny to me how gangs will go at it with Dukes. Yeah, the other cities that have a clique called Tiny Dukes. Well, yeah, because it's not about the name; it's about the actual barrios. You know what I mean? Like, um, it's not so much that they share names with you, right? But it's about like where people are from. That's the only thing that matters. You know, the names of the gangs are irrelevant. Doesn't Primera Flats have a click in South Central? Yes, they do. That in itself, actually, the Primera Flats over there, it was a different gang. It was the 23rd Street. That was a different gang. And then when members of Primera Flats, when they tore down their projects and you had individuals moved out to different places of Los Angeles, you had a lot of them that moved to the South Central area where it was cheaper and affordable, right? And they would kick it with these individuals, and these individuals, which was a smaller gang at the time, the 23rd Street, ended up getting into Primera Flats, creating the Primera Flats 23rd Streets. That's why you always see the 2-3 Street attached to the graffiti. You know, it's kind of like they're still representing their neighborhood that it once was. Kind of like when you always see people, members from like Bear Street, Florence tag, they always write the Bear Street. So you're never gonna see like Florence 1-3 without them writing the Bear Street if they're from the Bear Street. You know, see, sometimes you'll see the BST 1-3 without the Florence part, right? But you'll never see the 1-3 without the BST part. That's one of the things that I seen the Killer Chronicles, which is a great channel. You guys should go subscribe to it, right? He dropped a video about Florence, right? But there was a lot of misinformation on there. There was a lot of things he got wrong, especially when it came to like the sub gangs becoming cliques. I was like, what? What are you talking about? I think he got cliques confused with neighborhoods. I don't really think he understood. Does Hazard go at it with White Fans Union? Oh yeah, big time, bro. Big time. Big time. Big rivalry. That's some of the like their worst ops probably. I seen people say pollo isn't really Mexican food; it's Puerto Rican Spanish food. Well, you know, throughout centuries, right? Like there's different cultures that have shared customs with each other, and people have picked up on them, right? So like these ideas all get recycled from somewhere. You know what I mean? But everybody's culture is always influenced by everybody else's culture, though. Because like if you want to get to the home roots of what our food is from our people, right? Um, Anything you would say is going to be considered like Spaniards, right? Because we no longer eat the stuff that the indigenous people would eat because of the change of the landscape, the change of just Earth in itself, right? You have different fruits and vegetables that are now in areas that they weren't before, and some that used to be in those areas aren't even in those areas no more themselves, right? But the change of the landscape has, and people having to adapt has led to the change of the customs. Normally when people like to highlight like that, like, oh, that's not our food, or that's not this food, or this is what's considered our food. Those are people whose pride normally blinds them. You know what I mean? Like they're the people that always want to be first, and like the key holders of everything, and those are the people that are always normally they're wrong. They just won't admit it. Yeah, but I'm saying like Oaxaca is still a part of Mexico, though. In India, the only Chinese food you'll find is India. Chinese food, not authentic Chinese food. The homie's Indian. Kind of like East Side. Oh, that's one. They became one. Uh, what's your opinion on the the opinion on the reptilian agenda? The reptilian agenda does not make any sense to me whatsoever at all, at all, at all. Like the concept of reptilians doesn't make any sense to me though. Like we're gonna say that there's these reptilians that can shapeshift, right? So they have special abilities. Literally, they have special abilities. They're reptilians that can shapeshift into, the greatest leaders in the world, right? But yet the people that they choose to like pretend to be are like the most dumbest. Like I like like people make them these sophisticated, beings that are actually running everything, but at the same time give them the most stupidest agendas, right? Like, secretly being Beyonce and Justin Bieber to manipulate the people. Like it just doesn't make any sense, though. Like, wouldn't they manipulate people that can actually that are actually in power, that can actually like launch nukes and shit like that? Like, why would they fucking pretend to be these celebrities? Like, that just doesn't make any sense. And if they have the powers to change, like, what is the actual reason for it, though? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, they literally have special abilities, bro. If they wanted to rule the world, they could just rule the world. Like, they have powers, bro. Like, there is nothing that we can do against that. Right? So if they wanted to enslave man, they could just literally enslave man. Right? Like, doing this whole other, bullshit, it just doesn't make any sense. It's just like what the hell? What would be the purpose of all of that, though? It just doesn't make sense. Like, the agendas have to make sense. And remember, anytime people come with us with conspiracy scoops, the main question that always has to be asked is, okay, but what would be the reason for that, though? Because people just don't do shit for no reason. Nothing works like that. Everything has a reason to it. Even the serial killers that think that they just kill people for absolutely no reason always had a reason. That's what always blew their minds when they sat down and talked to a criminologist, right? Um, and how these people were able to tell these individuals everything they did and why they did it, and they were actually tripped out. Like what the fuck? Like, how'd you know, bro? You weren't even there, bro. How'd you know that that's how it went down? Like, they're good at their job, bro. It's not that they're psychic. It's just that the research is good, bro. People do things for a reason. Not people just don't do shit for absolutely no reason. So what would be the reason? What's the game? Like, what's the end plan? And it's got to make sense too, like I said. Tacos are urban food, herbs. Well, yeah, a lot of Spaniards taught a lot of Mexicans how to do a lot of things, like a pastor. Pozoles, tamales. Whoa, the maíz. Not so much the actual finished product, though. In most parts of India, beefs, man, because of cows are considered. Oh no, yeah, yeah, I know that much. I know that like cows can't be like fucked with over there. There's had a flatbread in Mexico. Damos. Oh, what's good, Rogelio? Al tiro, carnal, ya sabes, aquí nomás rifando. Ah, what are your thoughts on the rapper Fetty Wap? Was he good? He was. Yeah, I know he's the guy that is missing the eye. No, I don't know. I really don't know any of his songs. I don't know which ones are his songs. Is Kid Tricks considered your hit? No, that's already the other side. Passing what's Vanoan is already considered like out of bounds. You know, it's literally from Vanoans to Heart. You know, and then like to Valley Plaza. So it would be like Heart and like Agnes, Ben, Gentry, Hines, Morella, Simpson, you know, Dehan, all of that. Teachers, if anything, that you would find more guys from like 18 over there or Pico Nuevo. And Pico Nuevo is a new thing, so that's on one of the Indian. Does Northridge have hoods? Oh yeah, Northridge has a lot of hoods, bro. Brown Pride Raza, Brown Pride Sureños, Brown Pride Locos. They're not the same thing. Bryan Street, um, the Crazies. So you have a lot of neighborhoods. You know, when people think about Northridge, they just think about the nice parts of Northridge, like where the university's at and the malls at, right? But like I said, they have ugly parts to them. Like they have like fucking like the ghettos to them, right? Where the poor can afford. Just like Burbank. You know, when people think about Burbank, they think like where the fucking like um the movie theaters businesses are at and shit like that, right? But it has its ugly areas too, you know. Literally everything that's by the side of the was the 5 freeway. Buena Vista. Like all of that shit's ugly right there. Like you'll literally think you're in Compton. Right? But like I said, when people like try to pitch a narrative, they simply pick areas though, you know what I mean? To try to like downplay the situations. Yes, because poverty is gonna create negativity. That's just the way it works. You know, I made a video like that a while back ago where I was in Bell Gardens, right, and there was one side of the street, right, where it had big homes, nice homes, like big ass homes that look fancy, you know, and nice. And then across the street, you had trailer parks, like a bunch of trailer park homes, and a bunch of like rundown like apartment plexes. You know, and that's where the gangs were. You know, but it's like if you would have just seen this part of the area, you would have thought like, man, this area is lovely, right? But then, you know, once the camera switches this way, you're like, oh shit. Like, yeah, bro. Like, if you want to spin a narrative, you can spin a narrative, right? But it doesn't make it true, though. you know. And that's what I was trying to do with that video. I was trying to give people that, like, well, look, it's not always what it seems, you know. If somebody's really trying to, like, falsely try to put a spin on it, right? Like if people were just seeing this video of Bill Gardens and how it looks on this side, right, they would have think that, oh man, that city's lovely, man. I seen a video, man, it looks nice, right? But like I said, because that's the narrative that people are trying to hammer home, though. But it doesn't make it true, though. I only come and spit the facts, though. Like, this fool don't know what he's talking about. That area's nice. There's no gangs there. Like, bro, I'm not gonna say that there's gangs there if there's no fucking gangs there. What would be the fucking purpose of that? That just doesn't make any sense. I'm just giving you the facts. These are the facts. You know. What do you think about? What do you think of people get in gangs to get girls? I think those individuals are dumb and they won't last. They won't last. As soon as their number gets calls, or as soon as the day comes where shit hits the fans, they're gonna fall off. They're gonna fall off. They're gonna roll it up or snitch or just rank it, but they're not gonna last though, because their heart's not in it. They're doing it for the wrong reasons. Once you remove that element from the equation, these individuals see no purpose in it no more. So therefore, there would be no reason for that person to even have any loyalty or like, of why they should be doing what they do. So they're gonna fall off. Kind of like when people that do it for attention too, right? Once you put them in a cell by themselves and the audience is gone now, they no longer like it. You know what I mean? And then they'll make the excuse, right? Because they don't want to admit that they're wrong. So they'll try to find anything. They'll blame it on whatever. Oh, they turned their backs on me, or they did this, they did that, right? Because they don't want to admit the truth, though. It's not fun in games. You know what I mean? All right, ladies and gentlemen, my lunch break is over. We got to get back to it. It was good chopping it up with you guys, and we are out.